he replaced the GOAT and said, I'll one up you, GOAT, as you leave. I mean, there was expectations, his career on the line, all of that. As we said last year, and I think we've said years before, he is a starting quarterback in the NFL, and he's a damn good one.
The NFL is in for a big surprise with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I really haven't heard a peep about this team at all this offseason, but they have the most complete team in the NFC South. They are the clear favorites to win the division and get to the playoffs, and they have locked up a couple of key players for the years to come. So I think the franchise is on the rise and is going to be in the mix of things for years to come. So I gotta break the ice and talk about this team a little bit since the media won't. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 30K subscribers, and with your support, I truly believe we can get there super fast. So, the Bucs are coming into this season with a lot of excitement from fans. They really improved the roster this offseason, and this all-around roster could very well stack up with the all-time Bucs teams of the past. Now, obviously we haven't seen it in action on the field, so this is all just speculation, but they have a lot of the same players from last year, and with the additions of Jordan Whitehead, Tavierre Thomas, Bryce Hall, you have so much new talent coming in, along with the 2024 draft class. So all of a sudden, this team has some firepower, and Baker Mayfield has some guys around him to work with. I think if you go down the line, starter versus starter, this 2024 Bucs team beats out a lot of the successful teams in the past. You got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Trey Palmer at receiver, you got Rachaad White and Irving in the backfield, and then there's a ton of names on the defensive side of the ball. But the Bucs were a Super Bowl team in 2020 with Tom Brady, so it's going to be tough to beat out what that team was able to do, but I think Tampa Bay is headed in the right direction. Anyways, now I want to talk about the Bucs offseason so far. With a little more cap space this year than last, now that Tom Brady's contract is off the books, the Bucs are having to do a little less kicking the can down the road, and after securing key starters, are already adding depth pieces along the roster. The biggest move of the Bucs offseason so far was retaining future Hall of Fame wide receiver Mike Evans. Tampa Bay signed Evans to a 2-year, $41 million deal with $29 million fully guaranteed. Evans was one of the best receivers heading into free agency, a fact that neither escaped the Bucs or forced them to pay too high a price. Keeping Evans also likely played a major role in the Bucs' ability to retain Baker Mayfield as well. And speaking of Baker, many people have super mixed feelings on him. He did lead this team to the playoffs, and he's proven he can put up numbers. But is he good enough to win a Super Bowl is what many fans are stuck on, because it almost feels like he has reached his ceiling and could be one of those 10 to 11 year first round to second round exit quarterbacks for the rest of his career. And after signing the contract, the Bucs may be stuck with him. I personally am more of a Mayfield believer than most, but I'm also a Browns fan, so I have that nostalgic connection. I definitely think people are writing him off way too early though. He's still a young QB with much left to prove, and he always plays with a chip on his shoulder. So no, I don't think the Bucs are stuck with an above average QB that can't win, like teams like the Browns, Cardinals, and many other teams may be. So basically, the player that everyone thought was washed up and completely done revitalizes his career with a new offensive coordinator and gets to the playoffs with some miraculous performances down the stretch of the season, gets to the divisional round of the playoffs for the second time of his young career, but people still want to write him off and don't believe in the vision. But when Kirk Cousins signs with the Falcons, all of a sudden, he is the savior, and the Falcons are now the runaway favorites to win the division. It just doesn't make any logical sense. I don't think the media is ever going to buy into Baker Mayfield. Another thing that also doesn't get talked about is how Baker did everything he did last season with basically the worst rushing attack in the league. So defenses were completely game planning around stopping him and the passing game, which just made the task even more difficult. He helped Mike Evans get a career year despite how he's getting older and older, and again, he was with a brand new offensive coordinator and scheme. Baker truly has just willed things to happen, and I think that is the best way to describe it. He just does what he needs to do and makes things happen. So if you're a Buccaneers fan and are looking for national media recognition for this team or specific players like Baker, you're just not going to get it, no matter how many people they prove wrong or how successful they are. Anyways, moving on, now I want to talk about the skill position players around Baker because like I said, with some of the extensions, there is a solid group of guys around him and they are here to stay and provide tons of experience. Last season, Mike Evans put up 1,255 yards with 13 touchdowns and like I said, just provided a lot of leadership. Behind him is his partner in crime, Chris Godwin, who has dealt with some injury problems the last few seasons, but he's still been pretty consistent and put up about 1,000 yards, but was not able to find the end zone very much. Trey Palmer will be the number 3 receiver on the depth chart, and last season, he put up 385 yards with 3 touchdowns, and this year, he is looking to do more. As for the running back room, this is the unit that could really give the Bucs a boost if they provide more production. Rachaad White did nearly rush for 1,000 yards with 6 touchdowns, but I would love to see him be more around 10 touchdowns. As for the offensive line he will be running behind, PFF ranked the Bucs O-line the most improved after the 2024 draft. They addressed the O-line need in the form of picking Duke's Graham Barton and UTEP's Elijah Klein. The selection of Duke's Graham Barton in the first round isn't just a good move because of his excellent college career, during which he earned an 88.7 PFF grade over the past 2 seasons to rank 5th among FBS tackles. It was also a good move because of his versatility. Barton played center early in college and will likely play on the interior of the line for the Buccaneers. He is comfortable across the unit. Klein wasn't as highly touted as Barton, but he did grade out well in 2023 following a questionable 2022 season. He projects as a backup center or guard at the next level and will provide depth along the Bucs offensive line with a strong ability to protect the QB. Now switching over to the defensive side of the ball, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is aging, and it showed last season when they ranked 19th in EPA, which is expected points added per play. They traded away Carlton Davis to the Detroit Lions, leaving a hole at cornerback. But the Buccaneers drafted Zion McCollum in the 5th round back in 2022. He is the likely starter across from Jamal Dean as of now. Tampa Bay's safety situation might be the best in the league with the tandem of Antoine Winfield Jr. and Jordan Whitehead. And the Bucs desperately need their first 2 picks to pan out quickly. Tyke Smith has the potential to take over the starting nickel role. He was listed as a safety at Georgia, but played the slot corner position quite a bit for the Bulldogs. Chris Braswell needs to be an impact player at edge rusher quickly. Yaya Diaby showed some promise at times in 2023, but JTS has disappointed since coming into the league. Overall, I just think it's ridiculous how little respect the Buccaneers get. I think Baker Mayfield is going to do big things in 2024, and then I do think the Bucs are going to take the NFC South and will have a chance to do some damage in the playoffs once it is time. With how weak the NFC South is compared to majority of the divisions in the NFL, the Bucs have an easier schedule with a lot of winnable games, but they need to take each and every one of them super seriously, and they can't overlook any of them. They start off with the Commanders, Lions, and Broncos, and they need to win 2 out of those 3 to start the season off on the right foot. Let me know in the comments below how you expect the Buccaneers to be in 2024, and what you agreed with in this video, and what you disagreed with, because I know I'm not perfect, and many people have many different views. But thank you so much if you made it to this point in the video, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.